We also have a berry super greens too, which just happens to appear in my hand as we're standing here. And berry super greens is great. The original super greens is a little grassy. People love it, but I think it's a little grassy. Then we have the mint flavor, which I liked, and the berry's even better still. So if you've tried the super greens, the essential source in the past, we've got new flavors. Give it a shot. So, we're getting our IT guy over there now. We got camera issues. So, yeah, but these are great. It took me a while to come out with them because I wanted to make sure it was right. And I kept testing them and testing them and testing them. And finally, we got the right flavor. So it's kind of cool. And now chewables, everybody's asking about the chewable energy supplements. They should be out in the next couple of weeks. I know I keep saying that, but they're available. They're at the manufacturers. They're just putting them together and sending them to us. So there's a lot that goes into it. You have to get it FDA approved, meet FDA guidelines. You have to get the labels put together. So, but if you don't know what the chewable supplements are, it's ginseng and nitric oxide, citrulline, in a chewable. So it's really good. So, all right, I guess we're ready to go. So, John, if you give me permission. Not yet. Hold on. So if you're new to the show, folks, I'm going to talk for 24 minutes. John, my producer, will take any questions you have. If you have any questions, type it in the platform that you're on. John will then read me the questions at 24 minutes. Then I'll answer the questions, do another 24 minutes, I'll answer questions again. So please, any health questions you have, it's your chance to talk to me. A lot of people get this chance, but this is your opportunity to get these questions asked. So ready to go whenever you are. John, ready? Let's see, I got a big timer behind me there. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. Glad you're with me today. I've been in practice a long time, and patients come to me a lot and say, Dr. Joe, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I eat right, I exercise, I sleep right, whatever it is, they put together this list of things that they think they're doing right. And then when I sit down and talk to them, it turns out they're doing a lot of things wrong. So today, we're going to talk about healthy things, healthy mistakes, most people make, including people that think that they're healthy. So these are things that if you're probably going to touch on several things that you go, oh yeah, that's me. I do that. I didn't realize it was bad, or I never thought about that, so it's going to be very enlightening. So I want to start out with the one thing that people don't think about. We think about exercise, we think about diet, we think about supplements, maybe chiropractic care is part of your life. But one of the things you don't think about is your sleep patterns. And sleep is so important. Now, of course, it can leave you grumpy the next day and tired, but it's a lot more than that. Long-term sleep can lead to sleep damage or sleep loss, can lead to dementia, heart disease, diabetes, obesity. It can affect your immune system. It can affect anxiety, depression. So many things are linked to our sleep. And so many of us just don't do the right things. If you're in pain, it's hard to sleep. One of the things I find with a lot of patients when they come to us is, A, they wait too long. It's a very common scenario I see. People just waited too long, and then they finally come in, and I say, how long have you had those headaches or the sciatica, the neck pain, and shoulder pain? Gosh, doc, I've had that for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. What have you done for it? Well, I take some medication for it. Well, medication can mess with your sleep too. And then we start to work on them, and the longer you wait, just so you know, on any condition, the longer you wait, the harder it is to fix, generally speaking. So if you have a health issue, get it checked right away. I'm going to talk about this later, but one of the things that mistakes that people make is they don't tell the doctor everything. And this is something that I found countless times in my career. We're treating a patient. We should be seeing results. We're not. Then we sit down and we talk to them again. Oh, yeah, that's right, doc. I drink coffee every day after dinner, and then I can't sleep. And so I'm still having anxiety or depression or my brain fog, or I'm fatigued. So, yeah, tell the doctor everything. Don't hold back, because, first of all, we don't judge. All we need is information. We can't fix it without the information. But lifestyle changes, medication, talk therapy, psychology therapy, a mix of these things, all of these things can affect sleep. And it's one of the questions I get very often. Hey, Dr. Joe, I have sleep issues. Now, all of us have sleep issues from time to time. You just had one of those nights, gosh, I just couldn't get to sleep, or I couldn't fall asleep, or I kept waking up, whatever it is. But we want to look at what's causing the problem. If it's pain, well, that's chiropractic care in most cases. Chiropractic is the most effective, least expensive treatment for back pain. I don't know how else to say it any simpler. I can say it 1,000 different ways, but if you have pain, go to a chiropractor first. Let's do an analysis with you and then see what direction is going to be the best direction for you. Maybe it's chiropractic, maybe it's orthopedics, maybe it's neurology. I don't know. Let's find out, and I'll be your captain. I'll kind of guide your ship, and let's find that out. But it could be sleep temperature. I don't like it that cold. I know the experts say 68 to 70 degrees is the ideal temperature to sleep in. I like it about 74 degrees. I like it a little warmer. I'd rather not be bundled up and just wear a t-shirt to bed and with one blanket as opposed to wearing my winter clothes and bundling up. To each his own. So that could be an issue. If you drink too much fluid, especially if you're older, what do you got to do? Got to get up and pee. And when you get up and pee, of course, that disrupts your sleep cycle. So one of the rules that I have is I stop drinking a lot of fluid around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And every now and then I'll say, well, I could do 4 o'clock. And if I do, I got to get up and pee. So I found out my sweet spot for not having up to pee is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, I'll have dinner. I'll have a sip of water or two. I'm not going to, not have anything. But I find if I have a lot to drink, I'm going to get up and pee. And that's going to affect my sleep. Find out the temperature that works for you. Again, if you have pain, you got to get the pain fixed. Because you can take medications, but many times medications don't really let you sleep. They just kind of knock you out. They don't bring you down into that REM sleep. Just like with alcohol. Well, I'm going to have a drink before I go to bed to calm down. Well, that can adversely affect your sleep too. So sleep is one of those things that people don't think about when it comes to what we call hygiene, keeping your body healthy and clean. But sleep hygiene is so important. In fact, next couple of weeks, I'll do a whole show on sleep hygiene. And I've done them in the past, but it's probably time for a new one. And one of the things that it can help you lose weight. Because your body metabolizes food when you're sleeping. If you're not getting into that deep sleep, you may be not losing the weight that you should. So that's one issue. Another thing I find is sleep apnea. If people can't sleep well, they snore, they wake up gasping for air. Many times the problem is physical. You have a sheet of muscle called the diaphragm, and the stomach is pushed up into the diaphragm. And we can actually massage or pull the stomach away from the diaphragm, and in many cases resolve the sleep apnea. It's the number 2 reason we see patients. Number 1 is pain. Number 2 is digestive issues, heartburn, acid reflux, burping, gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation. And many times the problem is physical, not chemical. What I mean by that, it's not that you're drinking coffee or you need to take a sleep aid. It's because the stomach is pushed up against the diaphragm and you can't breathe. So we physically pull the stomach away from the diaphragm. It does wondrous things for digestion, for brain function, but it can also help the sleep. So we got to look at the sleep issue and say why. And we do that with every patient. Why do you have this issue? Neck pain, back pain, high blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol issues, anxiety, depression. Why are you having these issues? And then what proactive steps can we take to try to get to the cause of the problem? This is I can't say very unique. That's redundant. This is a unique approach to healthcare. Getting to the cause of the problem. Now, I've been in practice 40 years. 40 years ago, we talked about this, but other people didn't. Now what we're finding is a lot of other people are talking about it. It's called functional medicine. You may have heard that term before. I and my team of doctors were doing functional medicine decades before it was even called functional medicine. Getting to the cause of the problem. And it's really not medicine. It's getting to the cause with, either chiropractic care, supplements, herbs, digesting the stomach, looking at diet, getting the diet straightened out. And the trend is going in that direction. And the reason I see this is because a lot of medical doctors and other doctors are getting frustrated. They might be making a lot of money, but they're making less and less money because the insurance companies are a nightmare. I won't get into that. And so they're realizing, wait a minute, years ago, I used to make a heck of a lot of money, so it was easy to do this stuff. Now I'm not making a lot of money anyway. Why don't I try to actually get the patient well? And I'm seeing this trend. And it's not all doctors, of course. Don't throw things at me and send me nasty letters. But I'm seeing the trend with my friends, especially saying I'm really getting into this holistic health, into this functional medicine. It's exciting to me. It reminds me of why I went to medical school. So getting to the cause of the problem is a unique approach, but it's very effective and usually very inexpensive too. So if you're just tuning in, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We're talking about mistakes even healthy people make. They don't pay attention to these things. Another one is not drinking enough water. There's a part of your brain called the hypothalamus, and that's where you experience hunger and thirst. Now, when you're an infant, you experience thirst all the time. If you ever had a baby, what do they want? I want to drink, I want to drink. You have to pack a little sippy cup everywhere you went. And as they got older, well, I don't need the sippy cup anymore. What changed? They're bigger, they should need more water. Because the hypothalamus, the part of the brain that controls hunger and the part of the brain that controls thirst, grow together. And you have a real tough time distinguishing between hunger and thirst. So many times when you're hungry, you're not hungry, you're thirsty. So if you're actually getting thirsty, you're probably too far gone, not too far gone, but you've gone too far, I should say. And you really should be drinking some water. So you really want to start drinking water. And you'll probably eat a lot less food, too. I know I do this. Before a meal, I'll have a big glass of water. When I wake up in the morning, I usually have a cup. I always make tea, and I put it next to my bed in case I wake up and I get thirsty. And before I even get out of bed, I'll drink that tea. It's in a stainless steel container, and I'll drink the whole tea. And when I do that, I find I'm not as hungry in the morning. And of course, my Super Greens and Essential Source and other supplements help curb my appetite too. But when I have a big glass of fluid, it's herbal tea, I feel so much better, and I'm not as hungry. So many times when you're hungry, you're not hungry, you're thirsty. But if you have dry mouth, dark pee, your pee stinks, dry skin, these all can be signs you're just not drinking enough water. And you kind of have to force yourself to do it because you don't have that hunger anymore, that thirst anymore because we're getting older. So if you're just tuning in, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We're talking today about mistakes even healthy people make. And one of the things you need to do is commit to drinking a lot of water. Now, you can do herbal teas. That's fine. The other day, I just got a bunch of organic lemons really cheap. So I made lemonade. So I just took a big glass of water. I squeezed the lemons in there. I added a little bit of stevia, and I drank lemonade. Those are all fine. What I don't want you considering drinking is alcohol, beer, of course, coffee, soda, tea. Those aren't really fluid replacers. They're actually diuretics that make you pee more. So consider just having a glass of water before every meal. Big glass of water. Watch what happens. You'll eat less, you'll feel better, you'll have more energy, your brain will function better, kidneys work better, blood pressure is probably going to help stabilize or come closer to stabilizing. So many benefits come from just drinking water. It's not really hard. I have a whole house water filter. It was expensive, but it was worth it. Because every drop of water in my house, whether it's in the toilet, it's in the shower, it's in the sink, every drop of water is filtered. So when I shower, when I take a hot shower, my pores open up. I'm not absorbing toxic chemicals like fluoride and chloride or chlorine. If I'm cooking, if I'm washing my vegetables, my clothes last longer. So there's a lot of benefits to having a whole house water filter. They're expensive, but they're good. So we're talking today about mistakes even healthy people make. And this is one that I have to remind myself of all the time, and that's sitting too much. I come into work. I've got a lot of things I got to do. I answer questions from my website. A lot of you send me questions every day. We probably get 20 questions a day, maybe 30 sometimes. So I answer the questions. I check the calendar. I make appointments. I answer patients' phone calls. And what am I doing? I'm sitting. And I'll notice after about an hour or two, boy, I just really start getting tired. And if I'm up and moving, I don't get tired. But if I'm sitting, man, I just want to pass out. And when I realize that, I said something's wrong. So I'll get out of the office. I'll walk around. I've got a park next to my office. Sometimes I'll walk down to the park and come back. I can walk up and down the stairs. I got to get my body in motion. So one of the things I want you to do is move. And every hour, I want you to get up and I want you to move for 1 minute. I can't make it any easier than that. I want 1/60th of your time when you're working. Now, if you're drinking a lot of water, what do you got to do? You got to get up and pee. So go the furthest route possible. Walk up and down stairs if you have to. Go to the other side of the building. Go outside and come back in just to go pee. Because getting that body in motion is so important. We are not designed to be sitting still. You can get a standing desk. When I do my radio shows, I always do a standing desk. Because why sit? I sat for years and I realized, wait a minute, when I stand, my lungs open up. I can breathe better. I'm not as exhausted at the end of the show. In fact, I'm not exhausted at all. So get a standing desk. Get up and walk around. March. If you follow me on social media, you know I did a thing on cross crawl. Very, very, I don't know, we might have gone viral on that one. But what you do is you stand up and you bring your right elbow to your left knee and then bring your left elbow to your right knee. And you do that for 30 seconds. Do push-ups against the wall if you don't want to get on the floor. Do squats if you can. When I get up in the morning and I'm boiling my water for my tea, I do squats. I can usually do 20 in the time that it takes my water to boil. So right there, I got 20 squats out of the way right away. And I try to do 100 a day. While I'm brushing my teeth, I could usually do 10 to 20. If I'm in the shower, I can do 10 or 20. If I'm getting dressed, 10 to 20. You don't have to do them all at once. Spread it out. But that body in motion, building up those legs, especially the core, the butt, the legs, so important. Because what happens is when you build up strong muscles, it locks your skeleton in place. And as a pain management expert, I see a lot of people with pain problems because the bones in the spine or the knee or the hip have moved out of place. And when a bone moves out of place, it hurts. So if a bone is out of place and it hurts, what would be the smart thing to do? Put it back in place and stabilize it. How do you stabilize it? building up the muscles. Now, you don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to go, put on your sweatband and your tights and start dancing around. Let's get physical. If you're older, you'll get that reference. What you got to do is just keep the body in motion. So squats, things like that are just spectacular. Now, the number one cause of pain is bones out of place pinching nerves when it comes to back pain. And chiropractic care is the most effective, least expensive treatment for that. So if you have pain, I want you to do something right now. I want you to try to get to the cause of the pain. And you do that by setting up an appointment to come see us. In the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. Just go to my website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. You can book an appointment. Normally, the first visit is $940. For you, my listeners, I've reduced the $940 to $299. That's an exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays on your follow-up visit, and a complete nutrition evaluation. The nutrition evaluation alone costs more than that. And I do this because I want to find out what's going to be the best course of treatment for you. Maybe it is chiropractic. Maybe it's massage. Maybe it's acupuncture. Maybe it's orthopedist, neurologist, neurosurgeon, psychiatrist, psychologist. I don't know. But let's find that out. We can't find that out without getting all that information. So drjoe.com, drjoe.com. We accept most insurances, car accidents, sports injuries, Medicare, VA. I'm on the VA referral list. We had several VA people come in this week, and all of them said the same thing. I'm so thankful that the VA referred me here because they pay the bill too. But a lot of veterans, in fact, I've never met a veteran who didn't have health problems, especially spine problems, and we're able to do it faster and cheaper in most cases than the VA can themselves do it with better efficiency. That's why the VA is saying, okay, you know what? We really should consider chiropractic care. A lot of insurance companies are saying, wait, chiropractic care is less expensive. Let's go that direction. So make an appointment. Stop suffering, drjoe.com. So we're talking today about healthy mistakes, mistakes even healthy people make. This was an interesting one. I was talking to my dentist friend the other day, Dr. Jeff, and we were talking, and he said, when do you brush your teeth? So I brush my teeth twice a day, in the morning and at night, before I go to bed. He said, do you brush them right after you eat? And I said, no, not usually. He said, good. Because if you eat something acidic, acid can soften the enamel, that's a protective coating on your teeth, and it can actually, if you brush it, it can actually irritate the enamel. So before you brush your teeth, if you just ate, swish around some water. Wash that acid out of your mouth. Or just wait, half hour, an hour or so before you brush your teeth. But that's very important because you don't want to wear it out. Things like oranges, lemons, candy, of course, carbonated water, sodas, all these can be acidic and can irritate the teeth. Now, I had a patient call in my show the other day, and she said, Dr. Joe, I have a toothache. I want a natural approach to getting rid of my toothache. I said, go to the dentist. And she said, I don't want to go to the dentist. I said, let me explain to you about teeth. And there are natural things you can do, and I'll explain that in a second. But the same membrane that covers your gums also covers your heart. And if you have an infection in your teeth, it can spread to the heart. That's why if somebody has a heart condition, before they have heart procedures or even surgeries, they'll send them to the dentist just to make sure there's no infections. And that infection can get up into the brain. I mean, it can become really serious with dental issues. So one thing you can do temporarily is do something called oil pulling. You can take a little bit of extra virgin organic coconut oil, maybe a teaspoon or sesame oil, put it in your mouth and swish it around. And just swish it in between your teeth, up in your gums. And you can swish it up to 20 minutes. I find I can do about 8 minutes. And that's when I start to get a little gaggy. Now, when you spit out the coconut oil, don't spit it down the sink. Because coconut oil will harden in colder temperatures. Around 76 degrees, it'll start to harden. And so, below that. And so it can actually clog up your pipes. So spit it outside, spit it into a trash can. And you can do this as a prophylactic measure just for good dental hygiene. Just take coconut oil, swish it around, spit it out. Because it's antibiotic, antiviral, and antifungal. It gets in your teeth, in between your teeth and gums, and works really well. I don't want you using mouthwash unless it's a natural mouthwash. Because a lot of mouthwash, what they claim is they kill bacteria. Well, there are bacteria in your mouth and in your nose that actually help produce nitric oxide. Nitric oxide opens up your blood vessels and increases circulation. It's one of our more popular supplements, actually. But if you're doing mouthwash, that can affect everything from erectile dysfunction to brain function to high blood pressure. So you can use a natural one that doesn't kill germs, but the best thing to do for bad breath is get something called a tongue scraper. It looks like a little U-shaped piece of metal, and you just drag it across your tongue from back to front. You can use a spoon if you want to, too, but the tongue scraper is more effective. It's like $8. And clean your tongue every time you brush your teeth. Because my dentist said 50 to 60% or more of bad breath comes from bacteria in your tongue. So brushing your teeth is good. And brushing your tongue, I always said brush your tongue. He said, yeah, you're just spreading the bacteria around. You really need the tongue scraper. So I got one. I think it was at Whole Foods, had them. Amazon sells them. It's like $8, $10. And it really is something you should add to your overall health hygiene because it'll help your breath, but it'll also get those bad bacteria out. When you scrape it, like this white film comes off. Scrape, 3, 4, 5 strokes, wash it off, you're done. I mean, it takes less than 5 seconds. But really something you want to consider incorporating into your health care because it'll help with fresh breath. But we talked earlier about mouth problems, and the same membrane from your lungs, from your heart, goes to your gums, and it can cause problems. So tongue scraping, if you haven't heard of it, you really need to learn about it. It's really a good idea. And if you're going to do vinegar, I always recommend vinegar as things to stabilize blood sugar. When you're done eating something with vinegar and even salad, just swish your mouth out with some water. And you're done. It's real simple, real easy. But you really got to take care of your teeth. Because when I was younger, I didn't listen. And, of course, I had some issues, and I've got them fixed now. But why didn't I do it? I mean, literally scraping your tongue takes 3 seconds. Okay, electric toothbrush is better than a manual toothbrush as well. So a lot of things you can do when it comes to that. So if you're just tuning in, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We're talking today about mistakes even healthy people make. And another one, and my mother yelled at me for this quite a bit, was using a cotton swab in your ear. Don't do that. Well, Mom was right. Because you have wax that forms in your ear, and it protects the ear so bugs and viruses and germs and bacteria don't get in your ear. And so putting a cotton swab in there, you're actually just pushing the wax in further, and it can clog up your eardrum. Now, when you chew, that natural chewing motion causes the ear canals to move back and forth and push the wax forward. That's why many times you can, run your finger inside your ear and pull out some wax, because that's the natural, slow progression of pulling the wax out of the ear. But don't use cotton swabs in your ears. Not a good idea. I found when I was young, I used to do it because I wanted clean ears. And what I would find is, especially in the winter, I would get a sore throat on that side whenever I clean my ears. Now, there's something called a eustachian tube right there. And I think, I couldn't find any research on this, that when I took the wax out of my ear or pushed it in further, the bacteria didn't have the wax to get caught up in, and so it got into my eustachian tube, or viruses, got into my throat and caused sore throats. When I stopped cleaning my ears with a cotton swab, I stopped getting sore throats. Pretty cool, huh? So don't use those cotton swabs for that. Use them for other things, but not for that. If you get cut, I did this a couple of years ago. I was planting a tree in my backyard. There was a really big rock there, and I was trying to pull the rock out with a pickaxe. And it slipped and somehow crushed my index finger and peeled the skin right off. You can see the muscle and the bone underneath it. And oh boy, did I yell. And so I went home, and I knew don't use things like peroxide and don't use things like alcohol because that can actually kill your cells. And you don't want to kill the cells, so don't use peroxide, hydrogen peroxide, or alcohol. I just used soap and water, and I washed it out really well. And I waited a day, and it still looked pretty bad, so I did what I was supposed to do. I went to the medical professionals, and they looked at it, and they said, well, I can stitch it or not. It's going to heal fine. And I didn't get it stitched. But if I'd done something like poured alcohol in there to kill the germs, what I could have done is actually kill the skin, and it probably wouldn't have healed as well. So please don't use peroxide. Mild soap. I use Castile soap. I don't recommend commercial soaps. And some running water. You can put petroleum jelly on it if you want to. You can put even oil. Olive oil would work. Coconut oil would work just to protect it. And then wrap it when you have a cut. But don't kill the tissue. Because you think, well, I've got that cut there. I got to clean that. I remember being a kid. We used to use that. Hydrogen peroxide. You pour it on it, let the bubble. Ooh, look how cool that is. Not a good idea. Folks, I got to go to a break. Gosh, I got so much to cover for you guys. If you have any questions, send them to me through my website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. Follow me on social media. I'm going to be back. Don't worry. I'll be right back. Dr. Joe Esposito. Facebook is the Dr. Joe Esposito. YouTube, of course, is the long version. The other ones, we post every day. We post 1-minute segments. So please, I'm begging you, follow me on social media. I really want to stay in touch with you guys. If you're a podcast junkie, it's Dr. Joe for the health of it. Dr. Joe for the health of it. And if you want to make an appointment or order supplements, just go to the website, drjoe.com. We have over 4,000 hours of content on the website. So it's drjoe, drjoe.com. And the minimum supplements, people ask me that every day, at least Super Greens and Essential Source. Those are the two minimum supplements I would recommend. I would add B vitamins to that and then vitamin D. That's the general plan. But I'd love to make a customized plan for you. You can send me an email through the website, drjoe.com. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We'll be right back. Bam. So much more to cover. Any questions, John?
What is the best nutrition program for weightlifters and powerlifters?
I would definitely stay away from the toxic chemicals and ultra-processed foods. I work with a lot of professional athletes. In fact, I had Lee Haney on my show not long ago. If you're a powerlifter or a bodybuilder, you know who he is. 8-time Mr. Olympia. It was Sydney, I can't remember her last name now. She was 8-time Miss Olympia. They were both on my show. And it was interesting. When I asked Lee Haney, who had a 55-inch chest and a 35-inch waist in his peak, I said, what was your diet like, Lee? He said, very little animal products. He said, I wanted in-and-out food, he called it. He says, so I didn't eat hard meat. I'd eat maybe a little bit of fish every now and then, possibly a piece of chicken every now and then. But I stayed away from the animal products. He definitely stayed away from the processed meats. So if you want to get healthy bodybuilding, I mean, we can do bad things, of course. Go to my website, drjoe.com. You can type in protein. I did a whole show on protein. Most of the time, we don't need more protein. Your body only needs about 8 to 10% of its total caloric intake is protein. If you're a power lifter, maybe 12%. But plant-based protein is easier to digest than the animal protein and has a lot more nutrients in it. And so the animal protein, you're thinking, I got to eat more meat, got to get my protein. Not necessarily. Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he wrote his autobiography, said when he was competing, the only animal protein he ate was tuna, and he said, I probably didn't even need that. So all this story about protein, if you're going to do a protein powder, that's not true, I would recommend a plant-based protein powder. Pea protein, chia seed, hemp seed protein, those are all the good proteins. If it says autolyzed protein or textured soy protein, I would not eat it. Even though it's soy protein, it's not good. So if you go to my website, type in, so what can I eat? I would follow that guideline and just eat more if you need to. But plant-based protein, and just Google plant-based athletes, and you're seeing more and more champion bodybuilders turning to a plant-based diet. So that whole thing about meat isn't necessarily true. What else you got?
Are there any fruits and vegetables that shouldn't be mixed together?
There was a time, way back when, food combining, that said you should never mix fruits and vegetables. I don't find that to be true. I've mixed fruits and vegetables for years, never had a problem with it. So I can't think of anything that you shouldn't mix together. Now, I wouldn't mix meat and fruit because fruit digests pretty quickly. For example, if you had cantaloupe. Cantaloupe takes about 20 minutes to get from my stomach to my small intestine. That's why if you eat cantaloupe, you're hungry pretty quickly. And if you, Italian, prosciutto, they'd wrap it around cantaloupe and eat it. Very tasty. It's like a smoky ham type meat. I think it's ham. And you wrap it around the cantaloupe, really tasty. Not a good combination because the meat takes about 6 hours to get out of my stomach. Cantaloupe maybe 20, 30 minutes. Not a good food combination. But as far as in the fruit and vegetable world, I don't have a problem with anything. So, what else?
What is the best way to remove tonsil stones?
Tonsil stones. You can gargle with salt water, of course, but it's usually an immune system issue. And so what I do with my tonsil stone patients, I check the nerve supply in the neck that go into the throat because if there's pinched nerves, you got an issue. I also want to get you on an anti-inflammatory diet. An anti-inflammatory diet would include things like avoiding alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas. The tonsils are a lymph gland, and the lymph gland filters out junk. And so the more inflammatory junk you put in the body, the more likely you are to form the tonsil stones and cause those tonsils to be swollen. So if you go to my website, drjoe.com, just type immune in the search bar, and we have a whole show on immunity, on the things you can do to keep your immune system strong. The same protocol would apply for tonsil stones. So, what else?
Should I take a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar before every meal?
Yeah, it's a good idea. I have no problem with that. Raw organic apple cider vinegar, I think it's a good idea. Has a lot of nutrients in it, has magnesium in it, stimulates your digestive enzymes. Make sure it's organic, and that's something good. Now, if you do just take a teaspoon of it, rinse your mouth out with water because it is a vinegar, and that could irritate the enamel in your teeth, just to be on the safe side. It's probably not a big issue, but it's just be safe than sorry. What else?
That is all.
Awesome. All right, ready for part 2 of mistakes even healthy people make. All right, let me take another sip of tea here. All right, ready to rock? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito. If you just joined me, welcome. If you stayed with me, I appreciate that. I know everybody's busy. I try to give you so much information in every show that you don't want to ever switch channels, that you want to stick with it. And if you ever miss a show, we store them on our website, drjoe.com. Just go under education, and we have our shows, our podcast listed, and our Sunday night shows listed there too. So you could always listen. If you have any questions, you can always send it to my website, through my website, to me, drjoe.com. But search the website first. Just type in what you're looking for in the search bar. Chances are we've done more than one show, podcast, blog on it. But I'm always there to answer your questions, drjoe.com, 24 hours a day. Now, when you send your question, give me some time to answer. I don't sit by my phone at 2 o'clock in the morning waiting for you to send me questions. And every now and then somebody will say, hello, how come you haven't answered me yet? Well, I don't know. Maybe I was in the shower, I'll get to you, I promise. If you send the question, I'll get to you. So we're talking today about mistakes even healthy people make. And, we talked about sleep hygiene, not drinking enough water, other mistakes that people do. I want to talk about sunscreen, being summer's coming up. What's the first thing you hear when it comes to summer? Put on your sunscreen, right? You got to wear your sunscreen. Got to protect yourself from the sun. Sun, bad. Not sun, good. Not necessarily. When it comes to sun, I want you to get some sun. How much is some sun? When you go out in the sun, your skin should feel warm. When your skin starts to feel a little warm to the touch, you've had enough. It's usually about 20 minutes. If your skin turns a little pink, if you can see it on your skin, that's enough. So what do you do the rest of the day? Let's assume we're going to go to the beach. I'm going to go out for 20 minutes and then sit in a hotel room the rest of the time? No. You can cover up, and I'm going to talk about sunscreens in a second. So get a big floppy hat, get big floppy clothes. There's something called a rash guard, which is something every time I go swimming, I wear a rash guard, which is a long sleeve shirt, and it covers up my upper body and my arms. Then I wear my swim trunks. The only thing exposed is my face, my hands, and my legs. So yes, you should use sunscreen. I would not recommend commercial sunscreen. When you use a sunscreen, you want to look for one of two or both active ingredients. You want to use titanium dioxide or zinc oxide. That's it. Those are the only two main ingredients that should be in your sunscreen. If they're not in there, I wouldn't use it at all. But some of the ways you know that you have zinc oxide, titanium dioxide. Number one is it's a rub-on. It's never a spray. Don't use the spray. Because if you use a spray, you're going to have aerosols when these little tiny particles projected out into the air. And what are you going to do? You're going to breathe it in. When you breathe it in, it can get into your lungs. Gets into your lungs, it can cause problems. Anything with an aerosol. But when you rub on your sunscreen, it should leave a little white coating on your body. Okay? And so that's a good thing. If you remember the old, I don't know if they still do it, though, the lifeguards would use zinc oxide on their nose, be all covered in white. Smart move. Because you're blocking the sun. You're physically blocking the sun with a barrier. The other ones are chemicals. Some of those chemicals in the commercial sunscreens have been linked to things like, skin cancer. So zinc oxide, titanium dioxide, reapply it if you go into water, and cover up. If you ever go to an island or someplace in the tropics, the locals don't use sunscreen, do they? How do they survive? They're living on or near the equator, and they're out every day. But you'll notice, what are they wearing? Long pants, long shirts, big floppy hats. They're covering up from the sun. So it's okay to be out in the sun, just exposure for about 20 minutes, and then after that, cover up. And then, like I said, a rash guard is just some wonderful thing you should wear if you go and swimming, especially in the ocean, but even in a pool, I have no problem with that. Now, when you were young, you thought, I don't want a T-shirt, that's not cool. Well, turns out it is pretty cool for your skin. And a rash guard is even different because it's long sleeve. So it's okay to get a little sun. Sun, when UVB rays hit your skin, they interact with cholesterol and create something called vitamin D. And so we need vitamin D. You've heard me talk about vitamin D time and time again. It's the cheapest insurance policy you'll ever buy is taking 10,000 international units of vitamin D. It'll cost you maybe 11 cents. So it's really important to take that vitamin D3 with K2, especially in the winter. Now, I have a patient, I told this story the other day on one of my shows, and she's got an autoimmune condition. And her doctor said, I want you to get your vitamin D levels up to about 80. Okay? I like them between 60 and 80. They wanted hers between 80 and 100. And she couldn't get her vitamin D levels up no matter what she did. She tried everything. It was always around 20. It's called nanograms per milliliter, but just go with the numbers. So I got her on our Dr. Joe's vitamin D3 with K2, and she took it for a couple of weeks. She went back and got her blood tested, and the doctor said, oh my gosh, your vitamin D is over 100. What have you been doing? And she said, well, I'm taking Dr. Joe's vitamin D3 with K2. And they said, we've never seen any vitamin D supplement work this well. Whatever it is, take that forever. So it's all about quality. I'll have people say, well, Dr. Joe, I can go get a B vitamin over at the big box store for less money than you charge. Why don't I just do that? Because it's usually not a methylated B. It's not a quality B. We don't know the quality that went into producing it. We don't know the ingredients that they used. I know everything that's in our supplements. And I trust the supplements. You know why? Because I take them every day. And so quality is everything. Because I don't care how cheap it is. If it doesn't work or causes damage, you didn't save any money. So I take 10 drops of Dr. Joe's vitamin D3 with K2 every day, and I mix it with Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. And I take a B complex. That would be like the starter kit for supplements. Super Green, Essential Source, B complex, and D3. Now, there are other supplements. Nitric oxide support opens up the blood vessels, increases circulation to the brain, the heart, the sex organs, the liver, the spleen, the muscles. One of my doctor friends, he's a professional bodybuilder, and he came to our office one day and he was talking about his shoulder. So I adjusted his shoulder. We did some acoustic wave on it. And I saw him at an event 2 days later. He says, what the heck did you do to my shoulder? I said, why? Because he's competing at this point. And he says, I don't have pain. I can move my shoulder all the way around and it doesn't hurt. Now, this is a pain management doctor, graduated top in his class, brilliant doctor. Never even thought about chiropractic care and acoustic wave therapy for his shoulder. The next day, he referred his workout buddy to me. Take a look at his shoulders too, doc. So putting bones back in place, I know sounds so sophomoric. It's so basic. But line things up. We have acoustic wave therapy. It sends really, really fast impulses into the joint, breaks up scar tissue, increases circulation, recruits stem cells into the area. It was amazing. And then he said to me, he says, Doc, I'm still always sore after every workout. I said, try some nitric oxide. I gave him a half a bottle of nitric oxide I had in my car. And he called me out. He texted me a couple of days later. He says, I'm not sore anymore. He says, I'm a professional. And he said to his staff, they said to him, he's a professional bodybuilder. He was talking to his staff. And he says, I'm a professional bodybuilder. How come nobody ever told me to put my shoulders back in place and take nitric oxide support? I don't know. Brilliant man, too. And so just because you don't know something works doesn't mean it's not out there. And that's one of the things we do in our office. We can say, all right, let's look at the big picture. What options are there for you? If you have high blood pressure, try nitric oxide. If it doesn't work, it didn't work. But nitric oxide opens up the blood vessels. Many men with ED have issues. And one of the problems is they're low in nitric oxide. We get them on nitric oxide support. May not cure the issue, but it certainly can help in many cases. And it just increases circulation to your brain, your heart, your spleen. You feel so good when you take nitric oxide. I take it every day. I've got normal blood pressure. I take it every day because it just gives me so much energy. So that's another supplement you can consider. Super Green, Essential Source, B complex, and vitamin D minimum. Then we add the other products. We have a men's hormone support, a women's hormone support. Very important. Estrogen regulator, prevent testosterone from converting into estrogen. Omega-3 fatty acids, vital, essential for brain function. How many of you take omega-3 fatty acids? And if you do, I bet you it's fish oil. Do you know a lot of fish oils on the market have mercury in them? Mercury is a highly toxic chemical. So you got to I pick algae oil. It's a purer form. So we're talking today about mistakes even healthy people make. And one of the mistakes I feel a lot of people do is they don't take supplements. It's not a luxury. It's a necessity if your goal is to obtain and maintain good health. And I'd love to coach you any way I can. So you can send me a question through my website, drjoe.com. So let's continue talking about mistakes even healthy people make. And I've been guilty of this until I finally broke my habit, and that's looking at my phone as I'm falling asleep. And I was just talking to a buddy of mine the other day, and he said, listen, man, he says, I fall asleep listening to podcasts. But you know that phones give off something called electromagnetic frequencies, EMFs. And electromagnetic frequencies are not good, especially close to your brain. If you ever read the directions on your phone, that little packet that comes that nobody ever reads in their whole lives, in there, most of them say, do not put this next to your head. It's a phone. And it says, do not put this next to your head. Why is that? Because electromagnetic frequencies close to the skull can penetrate into the skull and cause problems. It's waves, let's say radio waves. And so you don't want to put it next to your head. Hold it away from your head is what the directions say. So use your speaker. I have a wired headset. I use a wired headset whenever I can. Please don't put the phone next to your head, and please don't put it next to your head when you're sleeping. 8 hours of electromagnetic frequency just going into your brain. Not a good idea. I take my phone, I plug it in across my bedroom, so I'm about 10 steps away from my phone. So I put it over there. I set my alarm. If I have to get up, I got to get out of bed to shut the alarm off then. But again, we're talking about mistakes healthy people make. And looking at your phone, first of all, can really affect your sleep. But having it next to the head is electromagnetic frequencies. When I have my phone, I don't put it in my front pocket either. And because men and women, our reproductive organs are in the front. And if you have that electromagnetic frequency constantly there, it's a problem. Women, don't put your phone in your bra. Electromagnetic frequency issues. I put it in my back pocket, and I take it out as soon as I possibly can. And I carry it sometimes. If I'm going to be walking or something, I'll just carry my phone away from my hips because it's giving off those electromagnetic frequencies. We're surrounded by them anyway. Wi-Fi is everywhere. I work at a radio station. They have satellite dishes probably 30, 40 feet tall. A lot of electromagnetic frequency. So I do everything I can when I can to protect myself. And eating a good diet high in antioxidants is also going to help because the electromagnetic frequencies cause something called free radicals. Free radicals are very active molecules. And they're kind of bouncing around, eating through things. And the antioxidants calm them down and stop them from doing their damage. So that's why diet is so important in every aspect of our lives, including electromagnetic frequencies. So that's a simple mistake people make. You don't need to make that anymore. That's why I'm here to teach you these things. Another thing I have happen very often with my patients is they have drug interactions. If you're taking medications, I strongly advise you look up drug interactions. Now, pharmacists probably would know this. Most doctors don't, or they don't know what the person is taking. That's why it's good to go to one pharmacist. Because I'm going to give you blood pressure medications, and that doctor's going to give you cholesterol medications, and you're on birth control pills, and then you're going to take anti-anxiety pills, and you got constipation, so I put you on a laxative that had artificial sweeteners in it, and there's interactions. There's no way to figure out all the drug interactions. Because if it's one drug versus another drug, it's easy. But what about 2 drugs, and 3 drugs, and 5 drugs, and then food, and then environment, and then stress, and then electromagnetic frequencies? So the ideal world is to take as few medications as possible. Of course, I would love for the world to do that. And the only way we can get to that point is getting to the cause of the healthcare problems, not just treating the symptoms. I don't know when the world is going to wake up and go, wait a minute. No one who's ever taken blood pressure medication ever got better by taking it, or diabetes medications, or cholesterol medications. They may treat the symptoms, and I'm not against that. That's fine. But it doesn't treat the cause. If I have an infection, I take an antibiotic, what happens? The infection goes away. I got to the cause of the problem. But if I have high blood pressure, I take a pill, it never makes the blood pressure go away. So that's why I always try to sit down with a patient and say, okay, what options do we have for your specific health concerns? And let's work with the doctors. Don't stop your medication. Keep taking your medication. Let's get you healthy enough so hopefully you don't need the medication anymore. Novel approach to healthcare, isn't it? So I'm not against drugs. I'm against unnecessary use of drugs. And that's why patients come to us literally from all over the world to get to the cause of their problems. So if you have a health issue, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, digestive issues, anxiety, depression, numbness, tingling, sciatica, make an appointment to come see us. In the Atlanta area, I have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. We can do remote consultations as well. Just go to my website, book your appointment, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. And normally the first visit is $940. I've reduced that to $299 for you, my listeners. That's ridiculous because it's an exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays on your follow-up visit, and a complete nutrition evaluation. The x-rays alone cost more than $299. The nutrition consultation anywhere else is more than $299. I do that because I want to find out what's going to be the best course of treatment for you. And then we tell you what that is. And I hope you listen to me. I tell all my patients, give me 60 days. If I'm wrong, I lie to you. But give me 60 days. Let's fix the nervous system. Let's fix the digestive system. Let's work on the diet. Let's get you on supplements like Super Green, Essential Source, nitric oxide, B-complex, omega-3s, maybe other ones, maybe hormone support, maybe a bowel stimulator. A lot of people are constipated. We have an amazing bowel product called Dr. Joe's Intestinal Formula. Let's get you on a supplement, prevent testosterone from converting into estrogen. All natural supplements I take, all made in the USA. And so if you want to make an appointment, drjoe.com. All the supplements are on the website as well in the store section at drjoe.com. So stop suffering. At least do something. If you're not willing to do the whole nervous system, digestive system, which I think you should, Super Greens and Essential Source, B-complex, and vitamin D. And see what happens. And when you see the results, you'll say, oh, I want more of this. I can't tell you how many patients I've seen in my career said, Dr. Joe, I've been taking your supplements for 6 months, a year, and I'm amazed. Nothing has ever worked like this before, like my staff member with the immune deficiency. Nothing works like this before. I guess it's time to go to the next level. What'd you wait a year for? I don't know. I don't know when the world is going to wake up and say we're treating the wrong things. We're treating symptoms, not the cause. It's okay to treat the symptoms, but also treat the cause. So, drjoe.com. I'm ranting here. Another thing I see happen, and I'm very careful about this, is if you drink water, which you should, I recommend you use glass or stainless steel. I don't recommend plastic because I've been talking about microplastics for decades now. And just, was it 2 weeks ago in the news, microplastics linked to things like Alzheimer's and ADD, cancer. Wow. Dr. Joe was right again? Yeah, Dr. Joe was right again. So don't drink out of plastic bottles. And if you have a plastic bottle, at least refill it every day. But I don't recommend a plastic bottle. Stainless steel or glass is going to be your best choice. Now, maybe that's not convenient sometimes. But don't drink of pre-bottled water. Especially the thin plastic, when you squeeze it, it crunches. Those plastics are just breaking down and getting into the water. Now, this research is early on about the dangers of microplastics. But we're finding it in every cell in the body, including sperm. We're finding it in ovaries, testicles, heart, brain, liver. There are adverse side effects to this. And I promise you, and every time something new comes out, I make you a promise, and I'm right, the research in the next couple of years is going to blow your mind. I don't even know what it is yet, but I know it's going to blow your mind on how microplastics are linked to so many different things. So wash your bottles every day. Put them in the dishwasher if you can, okay, if you run your dishwasher. But again, stainless steel and glass is going to be your best bet. And if you do use plastic or anything, please wash it every day. Your cooties and germs and spit are getting in there, and even though it's yours, still not good for you. Another thing I see people, we're talking about habits that even healthy people, mistakes healthy people make, is they drink diet soda. So many experts have warned against drinking artificial sweeteners. Now, you can find studies that say it's safe. I posted the other day on social media that you can make your own deodorant. And it's real simple. Alcohol and tea tree oil, mix it together, spray it on. And I said, you want to avoid those things with aluminum in it. And somebody said, well, it's never been proven that aluminum is dangerous. Now, I've seen tons of studies saying it is, but there's also a couple of studies saying it's not. Well, all right, I'm not going to argue with people because I've learned. Don't feed the trolls. That's what I learned on the internet. Don't feed the trolls. I said, if you want to use it, please feel free. This is for people who are concerned about their health. Well, you shouldn't be putting false things out there. It's not false. I have the documentation showing I'm right. So my thought is this: err on the side of caution. Let's assume aluminum under your arms that gets absorbed very quickly, can go right up into your brain, into your breast tissue, causes no damage. It's not true, but let's assume that's true. So what? You erred on the side of caution. What if I'm right, which I am, if I'm right about aluminum, or I'm right about artificial sweeteners, or I'm right about everything I've ever taught you? Then I don't want you 5-10 years from now saying Dr. Joe was right and now it's too late. So don't make those mistakes. Don't use artificial sweeteners. Aspartame is aspartic acid, phenylalanine, and methyl esters. Aspartic acid, excitotoxin to the brain. It essentially excites your brain so much it can burn out your brain cells. One of the side effects listed is headaches. And the headaches can become so severe. I've had people wanting to kill themselves. The headaches are so severe. And they've tried everything. They've tried chiropractic, and they've tried laser, and they've tried injections, and they've tried ablations, and they've tried medications. And nothing was working. And when I did a dietary workup on them, I saw they drank diet soda every day. I said, let's give up your diet soda for a week and see what happens. Doc, I love my diet soda. I know, I get it. Give it up for a week. And they'll come back. I've had them come in 2-3 days later. One lady was crying. I said, what's wrong? She goes, well, I don't have a headache. And I kind of forgotten that she had headaches. And I didn't have her chart in front of me. And I said, that's good. She goes, Doc, I've had headaches for years, since I was a teenager. I don't have a headache. I said, oh, what'd you do? She goes, I stopped drinking a diet soda like you told me. And let's assume I'm wrong. So what? Go back to diet soda. But you have options. You have stevia, you have low honey, you have erythritol, xylitol. You have plenty of options. Even if you like soda, there's stevia sweetened soda. Do that instead. Err on the side of caution. Why not? What do you got to lose? Well, diet soda is convenient. I understand that. Drink water then. But please, err on the side of caution. I remember talking about margarine one day. This is probably 30 years ago. And I was talking about margarine on one of my shows and how the hydrogenated oils can oxidize and cause damage to the heart. And it's the number one cause of heart disease. And a couple of weeks later, a story came out on CNN. It said, margarine, doctors feel may be the number one heart disease, linked to heart disease, cause of heart disease. And my mother called me up, and she said, did you see the story on CNN? I said, yeah. And she said, I'm not sure if you're a nut or a prophet. I haven't quite figured it out yet. And I said, probably a little bit of both, Mom. But why take that chance? And she goes, you're right. And so many things my mother thought was right over the years, she'd come to me and say, you know, I think you're right now. I thought you were crazy at first. This is some cult you joined about eating plant-based diets and stuff like that. And the more she researched, and toward the end of her life, she was eating like I recommended. And she admitted to me. She said, I was wrong. I was buying what they were selling. I said, thanks for admitting that, Mom. That means a lot to me. So make better decisions. It's not hard. You know, we talk about taking care of so many things. One of the things we don't take care of is our mental health. If you have anxiety, depression, stress, we all have stress. How about raising kids? It can be a little exhausting, can't it? Relationships, jobs, finances, the news, going to the grocery store, looking at all those highly processed foods. Consider your mental health as something you want to take care of, just like you would your body and your nutrition and your spine. And so one of the things I find is when there's a mental health issue, there's always, in my experience, always a digestive component. Because when you eat food, let's say proteins go into your stomach and get broken down to something called amino acids. The one amino acid named tryptophan combines with vitamin B6 and creates a chemical called 5-HTP. 5-HTP becomes serotonin and then travels up to your brain and works in your brain. It calms you down. It helps you focus. It makes you happy. Tyrosine becomes dopamine, which gives you pleasure. Dopamine becomes norepinephrine, which gives you energy. So many times there are digestive problems related to mental health. Now, sometimes you need talk therapy. You need to go to a counselor. I agree with that. Absolutely support that 100%. But let's try to get the nervous system working, the digestive system working, your diet straightened out, some good supplements, and now we have a health care plan. You might have health insurance. This is now a health care plan. I'm looking at the clock, folks. I can't believe I'm out of time. If you have any health questions, send them to me through my website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. Make an appointment, drjoe.com. All the supplements are on the website, drjoe.com. You can go to our podcast. We do 2 podcasts a week. It's Dr. Joe for the Health of It. Dr. Joe for the Health of It. And do that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you don't like it, unsubscribe. But then you'll get notifications when we post new things. And follow me on social media, all social media, Dr. Joe Esposito. Facebook, the Dr. Joe Esposito. Folks, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate it. Tell your friends about the show. We'll catch you next time. Bam. All right. I got a lot more to cover. I need more time. Any questions?
What are some of the harmful effects of steroids?
How much time you got? It can break down your immune system. It can destroy the cartilage in your body. It can destroy your liver. It can shrink your testicles. It can kill the immune system, kill off the bacteria in your colon. There's so many downsides. Now, what steroids do is they shut down your immune system. There's anabolic steroids which build up your body. If you're taking steroids for infection, let's say, it'll shut down your immune system. And sometimes you need that. Somebody's going to anaphylactic shock. They can't breathe. The immune system's hyperactive. We got to shut it down. Having an allergic reaction, we got to shut it down. But then we have to do the repair. So it depends on the type of steroid you're talking about. But anabolic steroids, like bodybuilders will take, they'll shrink your testicles. And so that's a problem, isn't it? So it depends on the steroids. So whatever you're taking the steroid for, look up the side effects, and then you can email me if you want to, and we'll put together a protocol to try to reverse some of those damages. I'm not saying don't take it. Let's fix it when you do take it. What else you got?
What are your favorite restaurants?
My favorite restaurants. There's an Ethiopian place on Claremont Road. It's called Bahel, Bahel. I love Ethiopian food. It's good. Desta's pretty good, but I like Bahel better. Sunflower Cafe is amazing if I want to go out someplace fancy. That's where I would go. Cafe Sunflower, I'm sorry. Cafe Sunflower. I love, for a casual meal, I'd say like Salata, which has a great salad. Kava has a good bowl. There's a really good bowl place. It's called Bulgogi Bowl in Marietta Square, which I enjoy. So there's lots of places that I enjoy, and I went to an Indian place in Decatur the other day. I don't even know what the name of it was. I just happened to be in Decatur, and it was spectacular. And again, I eat a plant-based diet. So I always pick the plant-based choices. And sometimes people say, well, there's only one choice at the restaurant that's plant-based. Great. I only need one meal. What else you got?
What are your favorite bottled water companies?
I don't have any favorite bottled water companies because I don't like bottled water. So, again, I have a whole house water filter. I use a company called PureLifeWaterGA.com. PureLifeWaterGA.com. If you can't remember it, email me. Expensive. Several $1,000s for a whole house water filter. Absolutely worth it. Because I drink water and I shower and I bathe and I wash my food every single day. And so it's a really high quality water. If you can't afford a whole house water filter, at least get even something as simple as a Brita, a countertop pitcher. And then you could do that. If you like seltzer, you could just get a seltzer maker. I forget what it's called, Soda Plus, or I don't know what it is. Soda Stream. There you go. Soda Stream. You can make your own seltzer then. But I have everything I drink out of is either glass or stainless steel. That's my stainless steel right there. But I don't recommend water bottles ever, so I can't give you a favorite one.
What are the healthiest Chinese foods?
You want to get it without MSG or chicken broth, of course. Stir-fried veggies are always a good choice. There's a garlic eggplant that I like, but you got to tell them no sugar because they'll add sugar to it to make it sweet, which makes it taste really good. So the stir-fried veggies are going to be your best choice. Japanese food, sushi, but avocado sushi, cucumber sushi, those are great. That's probably your best choices of all. But any plant-based meal is going to be a better choice. Just make sure no MSG, no chicken broth. All right, Johnny. A lot of questions today, guys. I appreciate that.
Is pineapple every day okay, or is that too much acidity?
No, it's fine. Just if it's if I eat too much, it irritates the inside of my mouth, so I can only eat maybe a piece or two. But pineapple every day is bromelain. Bromelain is a great anti-inflammatory enzyme, so yeah, it's fine. But I can't eat too much because it irritates me. So, what else?
What are your favorite berries to eat?
My favorite berries. I got a funny joke. I won't say it. If you're going to do berries, you want to do organic because strawberries and blackberries are what we call part of the dirty dozen because when they spray the pesticides and chemicals on it, gets in those little bumps. So always eat berries that are organic. You can buy frozen organic berries, which are great. If I had to pick my favorite berry, I'm going to say blueberries because that was my mother's favorite. And whenever I eat them, I think of her. But organic berries are just spectacular, and frozen is fine and a lot cheaper than fresh. But yeah, I'd say blueberries if I had to pick one.
What are your concerns about overweight people taking A1C injections to lose weight? I had an orthopedic surgeon promote it during a visit as an alternative to losing weight to help with knee pain.
You didn't hear my show 4 weeks ago on, yeah. Go to our website. Is that on the website, that show? Okay. Go back, and I talked about GLP-1s, they're called. GLP-1s. Will they help you lose weight? Yes, but they're GLP-1 receptor sites throughout your entire body, your brain, your colon, your liver. And when the GLP-1 gets in, and you produce GLP-1 naturally, hooks into your colon, slows down your digestive system, goes into your brain, makes you feel full. But when you lose the weight, yes, I agree it's going to take the stress off the knee, but when you lose the weight, people use up to 30% muscle when they take the GLP-1 agonists. And I don't know about you, but at my age, it's really hard to build muscle. Now, I don't take GLP-1s. I eat a really good diet, and I have a tough time keeping my muscle where it is because we're not 16 anymore. And so we have something called sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is muscle wasting. So go to my website, listen to the whole show we did on GLP-1s. I'm not a fan. Now, if it's going to save somebody's life, that's different. But if you have a knee issue, ask your doctor this. Why do I have a knee issue? Why is my knee wearing out? Well, you're overweight. But my other knee isn't wearing out, and it's the same amount of weight. Why isn't my other knee wearing out? Joints wear out because bones are out of place rubbing up against each other in most cases. So step one, I'd want to put your knee back in place. Step two, I'd use something called acoustic wave therapy to break up scar tissue, increase circulation, and recruit stem cells into the area. Step three, I put you on Dr. Joe's 21-day detox program to jumpstart the weight loss. I'll get you eating foods that are high in fiber because the GLP-1 receptors are in the L cells in the lower part of your ileum, the lower part of your small intestine. So if you can get high fiber foods, work their way all the way down to the L cells, you'll release your own GLP-1. The problem is that most of what food we eat, and I used to be fat, okay? I have stretch marks all over my body, so I can say the F word. I used to be fat, and the problem is foods that make us fat are foods that digest quickly. Meats, butters, cheese, yogurts, eggs, ice cream, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas. So the fiber never works its way all the way down to the L cells where the bacteria break down your body and break down the food in your body and produce short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, and then butyrate stimulate the L cells, which then release the GLP-1 into the body. It's a lot of science I just gave you in 5 minutes there. So let's get to the cause of why we have the weight issues and the cause of why we have the knee issues. Once we do all that, if that doesn't work, and it's never not worked, but you may be the first one, if that doesn't work, then we can consider options. So yes, the doctor's right with the knowledge that he has, but I'm not arguing with him. I'm not an orthopedic surgeon. I am a non-surgical orthopedist, but I would prefer to go a different route first. So that's my opinion. What else, John?
That is all.
All right, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Please follow me on all platforms of social media. Any questions, where do you send them? drjoe.com. Thanks, guys. We will talk to you.